Well, ladies and gentlemen, today is a really, really, really bad day. Not to be expected, of course, but still nonetheless bad, because today is the official death of European democracy, the official death. It is dead today. It is deceased. It has gone to meet its maker. It is no more. This is an ex-democracy. This is what's going on today, because what has happened today? Today, this woman, Ursula von der Leyen, has apparently been voted in again by the European Parliament as the European Commission president, sort of like, you could say the president of the EU, the sort of like leader of Europe or whatever, kind of, more or less, not quite, but sort of the most powerful position in the European political structure, bureaucratic structure. Today they had a vote in the European Parliament about whether she should be allowed a second term, despite the fact that her first term was disastrous, completely disastrous. Like the mistakes that woman made the past 5 years, the damage she's done the past 5 years is crazy. Crazy if you think about this. I mean, think about like Pfizergate to begin with, and the disdain she has shown to that European Parliament itself, where the European Parliament asked her, okay, so what happened with Pfizer? What do you say? How did you handle this deal? How did you make a deal? What did you say? Where the text that you sent, whatever? And this Mr. von der Leyen basically said, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember any of that. And then just ignored them. That was enough reason why she should not be given a second term, another 5 years. But anyway, it wasn't allowed to spoil the fun, because here she is anyway. They voted yes for her anyway. But that's just not all, because don't forget, she's also the face of the Green Deal, for instance. And the Green Deal, I mean, don't forget, that is actually a program full of insane ideas that has worked hard to destroy not just Europe's economy, which has really, really, really bad, by the way, but also Europe's nature and Europe's environment itself. All those ideas, like the crazy ideas of mandatory electric driving, right? Where does the electricity come from? Coal, oil, gas, nuclear, mostly. And whole new cars need to be built with new technology, which is actually really, really bad for the environment. And that's not all. She's also the face of GMOs, for instance, where she thinks that GMOs are somehow going to save Europe for whatever, I don't know. While we're fighting the farmers, we introduce GMOs. That's this woman, right? That's this woman. She has destroyed, attacked Europe's democracy. She has attacked Europe's farmers. She's attacked Europe's nature. She's attacked Europe's economy. She's basically like attacked everything. She's even attacked Europe's defense, because let's be honest, she is a self-declared transatlantic politician who leans heavily on her bosses in Washington. So this is the damage she's done the past 5 years. But even with all of that, the European Parliament today voted her in again for a second time. I mean, not that they had much choice, of course, because don't forget, there was only one option, there was only one choice, only one candidate, and that was von der Leyen, nobody else. So they could vote either yes or no. They could have voted no, but they voted yes anyway, because, people were pushed, strings were pulled, and there was some things were lubricated. That's how it works. That's how it works. It's the old boys network in Brussels. So today, this is why I say that today is the death of the EU. The official death of the EU. After this, there might be something that looks like the EU. It might even be walking about, but it's a zombie, because it's not alive. It's not really alive. It's dead on the inside. Because I don't think that this is salvageable. If you look at the damage that this woman has done the past 5 years, then can you imagine the next 5 years, how much more damage she's going to do? So I don't think that this is actually solvable at all. I don't think this is solvable. No, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. This is going to lead to the collapse of the EU. And the problem with that is, if the EU collapses, right, then will it drag everybody with it, basically? Think of the chaos which will happen when the EU collapses because of this woman. I think that the EU is going to collapse. Today, I certainly do feel this. And that is why I think that we should now work on actually dismantling the EU, because the EU structure is so corrupted and rotted to the core that there's nothing else you can do with if there's a building which is this rotted through, then the only thing you can do is tear it down and start over and rebuild from the bottom and build it right this time. So I think that the only thing we can do is to tear down the EU. We need an exit. We need an exit. We need to honestly tear down the EU and start again with a European community, a European economic community which is about cooperation, which is about restoring wealth to Europe and freedom and democracy to Europe. And you don't need a European Commission for that. No, you don't. You don't even need a European Parliament for that. I mean, we can do this between different European countries where we work together. We cooperate for the good of all. We can have like a confederation where we share certain things but we don't give up our sovereignty. We don't give up our independence. We don't give up our ability to defend ourselves. We don't give up our ability to make rules for ourselves. No. This is, I think, the only solution is an exit. After today, I think that there is absolutely no hope for the EU. Absolutely no hope. It can only get worse from now on. It can only go towards totalitarianism or collapse. Those two options. It's going to be complete chaos or complete authoritarianism. With people like her running the show, those are the only two options. And I think that we're going to go to complete collapse, because we've seen that in Europe, during the past elections, we've seen a huge shift towards pro-independence parties, right-wing parties, nationalist parties. We've seen this in the Netherlands with the PVV and stuff like that. Not you can trust those bastards, of course, because they're complete liars. Because the moment they were actually elected in, they said, isn't the EU nice, actually? Isn't it nice? They were always we're so Eurosceptic. Now suddenly it's like, yeah, sure, it's nice. So you can't trust those, but still it's a movement to the right. The same in France, where we saw the Rassemblement National, ex-Front National, where they are, which is a pro-French, pro-independence party, right-wing party, which gained hugely. Don't forget that the Front National started out like a couple of decades, like 10 years ago or something. It was a tiny, splinter party, which meant nothing. Now they are about the second or third largest party in France. So these people are on the move, right? The same in Italy with the Fratelli d'Italia, which was a no party at all. Nobody even knew about them. Then suddenly they're in power because they speak to the independence-minded Italian people who want Italy to be for Italians again and about Italy again. You see the same thing in Romania. You see the same thing in Poland. You see the same thing in Hungary. You see the same thing all over Europe. In Spain with Vox, we see it all over Europe, that there is a movement away from centralization and a movement back to taking care of your own community. So I think this is why this trend, which will continue and grow, this is why the EU is bound to collapse. It's bound to collapse under its own bureaucracy. And the problem is what will happen when the EU collapses. This is why I think that we now need to be proactive and actually tear down the EU brick by brick and rebuild it with a functional European community based on cooperation rather than mandates and force and bribery and corruption, which is everything that this woman stands for.